You've heard the old sayings from your grandfather. Son, always rub your hands if they get numb. And that is exactly what will get you killed. When the temperature drops, the most dangerous thing isn't the cold itself. The cold is just physics. The real enemy is misinformation. It's the folklore, the tall tales, the so-called common sense passed down for generations that promises warmth but delivers a frozen grave. These are the whispers of advice that sound right, feel intuitive, but are scientifically designed to strip the life right out of you. Today, we are separating fatal fiction from life-saving fact. We're not just telling you what to do, we're breaking down the brutal science of why the wrong choice is a death sentence. Your body is a machine, governed by thermodynamics, biology, and chemistry. In a survival situation, understanding these rules is the only thing that matters. Forgetting them, or worse, ignoring them for a folksy myth, is a rookie mistake that will put you in the ground. We are about to debunk 9 of the most pervasive, trusted, and dead wrong winter survival myths out there. Stop believing them right now. This information won't just make you smarter, it will be the difference between a story of survival and an obituary. Myth number 1. Alcohol warms you up. Let's start with the most iconic, romanticized, and one of the deadliest myths. That a swig of brandy or a shot of whiskey will warm you up. We've all seen the cartoon of a St. Bernard with a little barrel of brandy strapped to its neck, reviving some half-frozen mountaineer. It's a powerful image. It suggests rescue and warmth in one neat package, an idea so deep in our culture it feels like an undeniable truth. You take a drink, a pleasant warmth spreads through your chest and limbs, and you feel better. You feel saved. But what you are feeling is a lie. It's a physiological deception your body is playing on you, and it's leading you straight to accelerated hypothermia. This isn't opinion, it's a brutal scientific fact. When you drink alcohol, it acts as a vasodilator. In plain English, it causes the blood vessels near your skin to relax and open wide. Suddenly, a large volume of warm blood rushes from your core out to your skin. This surge of blood is what you feel as warmth. It feels good. It feels like you're being heated from the inside out. The reality is the exact opposite. Think of your body as a furnace. Your core, where your heart, liver, and brain are, is the fire. To protect that fire in the cold, your body naturally performs vasoconstriction. It tightens up the blood vessels near your skin to keep warm blood deep inside, protecting those vital organs. Alcohol reverses this life-saving process. By forcing blood to the surface, it takes precious heat from your core and exposes it to the cold air, where it's rapidly stolen away. That warm, fuzzy feeling is literally the sensation of your body dumping its most critical heat reserves into the environment. You're not getting warmer, you're just losing heat faster. This kicks off a cascade of deadly consequences. First, losing core heat so quickly speeds up the onset of hypothermia. While you're enjoying that fleeting warmth on your skin, your internal temperature is plummeting. Second, alcohol cripples your body's natural defenses. One of the first things it shuts down is your ability to shiver. Shivering isn't just a sign of being cold. It's your body's emergency generator, an involuntary muscle contraction designed to create heat. Alcohol unplugs it. Third, and most insidiously, it impairs your judgment. Myth number 2. Eating snow is a good way to stay hydrated. On the surface, this myth seems like pure logic. Snow is frozen water. You need water. So, if you're surrounded by snow, you're surrounded by hydration, right? It's a tempting thought, especially when you're thirsty and the landscape is an endless buffet of frozen relief. The problem is, this seemingly logical act is a direct assault on your body's energy budget, a transaction that can bankrupt your heat reserves and push you into hypothermia. The science is just simple thermodynamics. Your body's core needs to stay at a stable 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 Celsius. Anything you eat that's colder than that has to be heated up using your body's own energy. Snow, which is at or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius, represents a massive thermal debt. When you eat snow, you are forcing your internal furnace to work overtime, burning precious calories just to melt the snow into water, and then heat times water up to a temperature your body can handle. And for what? The amount of water you get from snow is deceptively low. Fluffy, fresh snow can have a water-to-air ratio of about 1 to 9. That means to get 1 quart of water, you might need to eat 10 quarts of snow. For every mouthful, you get very little water, but a whole lot of cold. The energy your body wastes melting that snow can actually lead to a net loss of hydration. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. You're working hard but ending up with less than you started with. That energy is stolen directly from the heat needed to keep your organs running. Wasting it on melting snow internally is a catastrophic error. Beyond the thermal cost, eating snow has other dangers. The ice crystals can be abrasive, causing tiny cuts on your lips and in your mouth. This might seem minor, but any break in the skin is an invitation for infection. Myth number 3. You lose most of your body heat through your head. Put on a hat. You lose 80% of your heat through your head. It's one of the most quoted pieces of cold weather advice on the planet. The figure changes, sometimes it's 40%, sometimes 50%, but the idea is always the same. Your head is a thermal chimney, and failing to cap it is the fastest way to get cold. This myth is so popular because it feels right. Your head is sensitive, so when it's cold, you feel cold all over. But that's a matter of perception, not reality. The science is clear. This myth is just wrong. Heat loss is proportional to surface area. Your head is only about 7% to 10% of your body's surface. You simply cannot lose 50% of your body's heat through 10% of its surface. That would defy the laws of thermodynamics. The origin of this myth is a classic case of misinterpreted science. It traces back to a U.S. military study from the 1950 seconds. Researchers put subjects in Arctic survival suits and exposed them to extreme cold. The suits were incredibly well insulated, covering the entire body, except for the head. So, naturally, when they measured where heat was escaping, they found most of it was coming from the only uncovered part, the head. The real conclusion wasn't that the head loses heat faster, it's that any uncovered body part loses heat. A 2008 report in the British Medical Journal famously debunked this, noting that if the myth were true, being hatless would be as chilling as being trouserless. And, as they put it, patently, this is just not the case. The danger here isn't that wearing a hat is bad. Wearing a hat is a fantastic idea. The danger is the myth's implication, that the head is the only thing that matters. This false emphasis distracts from a complete understanding of heat management. Your body loses heat from any exposed surface. Bare hands, an uncovered neck, or ankles exposed between your boots and pants are all open windows letting warmth escape. Believing the head myth gives you a false sense of security. You might throw on a hat but wear thin gloves or an inadequate jacket. In reality, leaving your hands bare can be just as dangerous as an uncovered head, especially since you need your fingers to perform survival tasks. Myth number 4. If you have frostbite, rub the area to warm it up. This is the myth from the very beginning. It's an almost primal reaction. When a part of your body goes numb, fingers, toes, ears, the impulse is to bring it back to life with friction. You rub your hands together. You massage your cold feet. It feels like the right thing to do, like you're stimulating blood flow. But this instinct is a catastrophic mistake. Rubbing a frostbitten area is one of the most damaging things you can do. To understand why, you have to know what frostbite actually is. It isn't just cold skin. Frostbite is the freezing of your body's tissues. As the temperature of your cells drops, the water inside and around them forms ice crystals. Think of these as millions of microscopic, razor-sharp shards of glass embedded in your flesh. At this point, the tissue is incredibly fragile and brittle. Now, imagine rubbing that area. You are physically grinding those sharp ice crystals into delicate cell membranes and tiny blood vessels. You are not warming the tissue, you are shredding it from the inside out. This causes severe mechanical damage, destroying cells that might have otherwise survived. It's like trying to make a frozen tree branch flexible by bending it. It will just snap and shatter. Rubbing frostbitten skin can turn a recoverable injury into permanent tissue death, leading to gangrene and amputation. The correct procedure is gentle, gradual, rewarming, and above all, avoiding any more damage. First, get out of the cold. Crucially, do not attempt to rewarm a frostbitten part if there's any chance of it refreezing. A freeze-thaw, refreeze cycle causes even more catastrophic damage. Once you're in a stable, warm place, the goal is to rewarm the area slowly. The best method is a warm water bath, specifically water between 98 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 to 39 Celsius. It should feel warm, not hot, to healthy skin. Submerge the affected area for 20 to 30 minutes. This process will be extremely painful as the nerves wake up, but it is the medically accepted standard. If warm water isn't available, use passive body heat. Place frostbitten fingers in your armpits or on your stomach. Again, do not rub. The key is gentle heat transfer. After rewarming, wrap the area in clean, dry bandages, keeping fingers and toes separated. The instinct to rub is powerful, but you must fight it. Your tissues aren't just numb, they're frozen solid. Treat them like delicate glass. Myth number 5. Shelter is optional for a few hours. In a winter survival scenario, our minds often jump to the most dramatic needs: fire, food, rescue. The quiet, passive need for shelter can seem less urgent. A deadly assumption is that a tough person can just endure the elements for a few hours. You tell yourself, "I'll just find water first," or "I need to gather wood before I do anything else." This thinking fundamentally misunderstands the ruthless speed with which winter leaches heat from your body. Forgoing shelter for even a few hours isn't a test of toughness, it's a fatal error. The rule of threes in survival is brutally clear on this. You can survive about 3 hours without shelter in extreme conditions. Compare that to 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food. Shelter is at the top of the list for a reason. Hypothermia is a far more immediate threat than dehydration or starvation. It's the silent killer that arrives long before hunger becomes critical. Your body loses heat in several ways, but a shelter is the only thing that mitigates the two most aggressive forms in winter: convection, wind, and conduction, contact. The wind is a relentless thief. A 10 mph wind can make a 20-degree day feel like 4 degrees. This wind chill is a measure of how fast your body heat is being stripped away. Standing exposed in the wind is like standing in a cold river that's constantly washing your warmth away. Just as dangerous is conduction. If you sit or lie directly on snow, the ground acts as a massive heat sink, pulling warmth from you at an alarming rate. Even a simple layer of pine boughs or a pile of leaves to break that contact can be the difference between life and death. Believing you can tough it out is a gamble against physics. Every minute you're exposed, you're losing core body temperature. As it drops, your physical and mental abilities degrade rapidly. You start shivering, burning energy. Your hands go numb, making it impossible to strike a match or build that shelter you decided to postpone. Your judgment becomes clouded. It's a vicious, self-reinforcing cycle of decay. Myth number 6. If you're lost, food is your first priority. When the panic of being lost hits, the mind often jumps to primal fears, and the fear of starvation is a potent one. This fear can drive people to make finding food their number one priority, spending precious daylight and energy hunting, trapping, or foraging. This focus, born of a misplaced fear, is a classic and often fatal mistake. The truth is, in a short-term winter survival scenario, food is one of your lowest priorities. Let's go back to the rule of threes. You can survive for 3 weeks without food. You can only survive for 3 days without water, and a mere 3 hours without shelter in the extreme cold. Your body is built to withstand periods of starvation. It has energy reserves. What it cannot withstand is a rapid loss of core temperature or a lack of hydration. Hypothermia and dehydration are the wolves at your door. Starvation is a distant threat. Chasing food in winter is an exercise in diminishing returns. Hunting and trapping require immense skill and energy, both of which are in critically short supply. The caloric energy you burn in the process will likely be greater than the energy you gain from the meal. Foraging is even more treacherous. Edible plants are scarce, and misidentifying one can lead to poisoning, vomiting, and diarrhea, accelerating the dehydration that's a much bigger threat. Every moment you spend searching for food is a moment you're not spending on the tasks that will keep you alive for the next 24 hours. It's time you aren't building a shelter. It's time you aren't gathering wood for a fire to melt snow. It is a fundamental misallocation of your energy. The correct survival priority in winter is non-negotiable. Shelter, water, fire, then food. When you realize you're lost, the first thing to do is stop. Stop moving. Conserve energy. Think about your priorities. Observe your surroundings for shelter resources and dry wood. Then, plan your actions in the correct order. First, shelter. Next, secure water, which means you also need fire. Once and only once you have a secure shelter, a way to stay warm, and a supply of water, can you even begin to consider the luxury of food. Don't let the rumbling in your stomach override the cold, hard logic of survival. The pangs of hunger are a distraction. The creeping chill of hypothermia is the real enemy. Myth number 7. Exercising in the cold is dangerous and should be avoided. The logic seems sound. Cold air feels harsh, muscles feel stiff, and the fear is that working out will damage your lungs or strain your heart. So, the thinking goes, you should conserve energy by moving as little as possible. While overexertion is a real danger, the idea that all exercise should be avoided is a complete misunderstanding of your body's heating system. In reality, controlled physical activity is one of your most powerful tools for generating internal heat. Your body is a heat engine. Your metabolism generates warmth, and exercise cranks that engine into high gear. When you're sitting still, you're just playing defense, relying on your insulation to trap whatever heat your body makes at rest. When you start moving, you go on offense. Your muscles contract, burn calories, and flood your body with warmth. This is why staying active is a key principle of staying warm. And no, for a healthy person, cold air does not damage your lungs. Your upper airways are incredibly efficient at warming and humidifying air before it ever reaches your delicate lung tissue. The belief that cold weather makes you sick is also a myth. Viruses make you sick, not low temperatures. However, and this is a big however, this doesn't mean you should go run a marathon. The greatest danger of exercising in the cold is sweat. Your goal is to stay warm, but not get hot. If you exercise to the point of sweating, you are setting yourself up for disaster. As soon as you stop moving, that moisture in your clothes will start to evaporate, sucking heat away from your body at an incredible rate. Wet clothing loses its insulating properties, and you can become hypothermic far faster than if you had stayed dry. The correct approach is to use exercise as a thermostat. A good principle is to be bold, start cold. When you begin an activity, you should feel slightly cool, because you know you'll warm up quickly. Dress in layers so you can easily vent or remove one as you heat up to prevent sweat. If you stop for a rest, put that layer back on immediately to trap the heat you just generated. Gentle, continuous movement is best. Pacing, gathering firewood, or improving your shelter are all productive, heat-generating activities. Don't be afraid of moving in the cold. Movement is life. The danger is not in the exercise, but in mismanaging the heat and moisture it creates. Myth number 8. To warm a hypothermia victim, get naked and share a sleeping bag. This is a staple of survival lore, often shown in movies as the dramatic, life-saving move. The idea is skin-to-skin contact. Two naked bodies in a sleeping bag, transferring heat from the healthy person to the hypothermia victim. While the intention is good, the specific instruction to get fully naked is often misguided and can even be dangerous. The logic of direct heat transfer isn't wrong, but it overlooks the critical role of insulation. Your clothes are designed to do one thing: trap a layer of warm air next to your body. This trapped air is what keeps you warm. When you and the victim are both clothed in dry layers inside a sleeping bag, you are each creating your own bubble of warm air, and the sleeping bag adds another layer of insulation around you both. The problem with the get naked advice happens when you apply it without thinking. If you strip both yourself and the victim, you've just eliminated all the insulating layers of trapped air your clothing provided. Now, you're relying only times on the sleeping bag's insulation. While you will transfer some heat where you touch, both of you are also losing a lot more radiant heat into the empty space in the bag. Now, if the victim's clothes are wet, they must be removed. Wet clothing is a fast track to death, but replacing them with nothing isn't always the best option. A far more effective method involves minimal clothing. The ideal scenario is for both rescuer and victim, once their wet clothes are off, to be stripped to their base layer, a thin layer of polypropylene or wool. This allows for good heat transfer, where your bodies touch, but also maintains a crucial layer of trapped air over the rest of your bodies. Then you get into the sleeping bag together. It's also critical to know that this is just one tool. A standard wilderness medicine technique is the hypothermia burrito wrap, where the patient is wrapped in multiple layers, vapor barriers, sleeping bags, blankets to create a cocoon of insulation. This allows the victim's own body to re-warm itself from the inside out. The fatal flaw in the get naked myth is its oversimplification. Survival is about managing insulation. Don't discard perfectly good, dry insulation just because you saw something in a movie. Myth number 9. Spitting in an avalanche can show you which way is up. Being caught in an avalanche is one of the most terrifying experiences imaginable. The world is chaos, and when it stops, you're entombed in what feels like solid concrete. You have no idea which way is up or down. In this context, a seemingly clever trick has been passed down. If you're buried, spit. Gravity will pull the saliva down, and you can try to dig up. This myth isn't just wrong, it gives false hope and encourages you to waste precious energy and oxygen. Once an avalanche stops, the snow undergoes sintering. Friction and pressure cause the snow crystals to instantly bond together, setting like concrete. You often can't even move a finger, let alone dig. The spitting trick fails for a few reasons. First, even if you could clear enough space to spit, the snow is so dense the saliva won't go anywhere. Second, being buried is so disorienting that you can't trust your perception of down anyway. But the most dangerous part of this myth is that it distracts from the only things that might actually help. When you're buried, your greatest enemy is asphyxiation. Your air is limited to a small pocket in front of your face. Every movement, every moment of panic, every attempt to dig or spit consumes that oxygen at a terrifying rate. The real solution to surviving an avalanche happens before it occurs. It's prevention, education, and equipment. It's taking an avalanche safety course. It's carrying and knowing how to use the holy trinity of avalanche gear: a transceiver, a probe, and a shovel. Your survival depends almost entirely on your partners finding you and digging you out fast. Self-rescue after a full burial is exceptionally rare. To put your faith in a myth like spitting is to fundamentally misunderstand the threat. It's like being told that if your ship sinks, you can survive by drinking salt water. It ignores reality in favor of a folksy, useless trick. Don't rely on myths. Rely on training, preparation, and your partners. That is the only thing that will save you. The line between life and death in winter is drawn not by strength, but by knowledge. The cold is an impartial, unforgiving force of nature. It operates on the unbending laws of physics, and it does not care about your common sense or what you saw in a movie. The myths we've debunked are not harmless old wives' tales. They are pieces of fatal misinformation, instructions for your own demise cloaked as conventional wisdom. Relying on alcohol for warmth is a recipe for disaster. Eating snow is an invitation to hypothermia. Rubbing frostbitten skin is an act of self-mutilation. Prioritizing food over shelter is a death sentence. These aren't opinions, they are facts. True survival is a discipline of the mind. It is replacing intuition with information, panic with procedure, and myths with methodology. The next time you face the biting cold, remember these lessons. Let science, not superstition, be your guide. Your life depends on it. We've covered 9 deadly myths, but the world is full of bad advice. What's the worst or most dangerous winter survival myth you've ever heard? Drop it in the comments below, and let's keep separating the fatal fiction from the life-saving facts. If this was valuable to you, consider subscribing and sharing this video. You never know whose life it might save. Stay smart and stay safe.